Hey y'all, we need to talk. We need to talk about Tekken. The Tekken men specifically. And I'm not talking about power stealing. I'm not talking about S rank versus trash tier. I'm talking about something way more important. Who are you taking home to meet the parents? So I've thought about this for a very long time, probably way longer than I should have. And I've come down to the 5 guys who would be in the running to come home to meet my parents. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Get ready for the next battle.
Last, bottom of my list is Ring. Now you might be thinking, why Mars? He's probably one of the most normal people in Tekken. And I'll tell you why. But I'll do one better. Let me paint you a picture. You meet him for the first time. Ring is rolled up on a motorcycle. He's looking pretty cool. He looks clean cut. Looks like he smells nice. Hair is on point. You could tell that he works out, probably does some martial arts. So, got maybe even rolled up in the Taekwondo fit. Even though he has other outfits, he has some pretty good outfits. So I won't say he's rolling up in his fit. But either way, he's impressed you. You kind of painted him as a hothead and kind of derpy at first, but as you get to know him, you realize that he's more emotionally intelligent than he let on. Like he's kind of picking up when you're feeling off. He's letting you talk to him about some of his problems. He's giving you surprisingly insightful advice sometimes. And then all of a sudden, that stops. And you're wondering what's going on. He stops showing up on time to things. Sometimes he doesn't show up at all. You're at the movie theater waiting for him for 45 minutes and he's a no-show. You're trying to get in touch with him. Calls you back 2 days later and tells you he was chasing some dude named Jin across half of the country, maybe even across the world. He joined a random tournament, all for the sake of fighting some dude named Jin. And that's when you start to realize this dude has an irrational dependency with some random dude as far as you're concerned. And I'm all for male friendships. I think they're very important. But this is less a male friendship and a toxic, almost one-sided rivalry instead. To the point where it is actively getting in the way of you two getting to know each other and bond and really understand one another. I would probably get annoyed with him. I'd probably be the one who ends up breaking up because I'm always playing the dates. Half the time he doesn't show up. I've got to plan my dates around whether or not this other dude will be present that he needs to fight. Heaven forbid we run into them at a restaurant or something. Him, Jen, and Zhao Yu are out, I don't know, getting dinner or something, and Huarang sees them. Somebody looks like him, passes the cafe, and he goes dashing out the door to go hunt him down. It just seems like a lot of work to be vying attention for all the time. And that's what you would constantly be doing with him. So for that reason, I've got to put him to the side.
Get ready for the next battle.
All right, on to number 4. This is our toxic prince. And no, we're not talking about Jin. We're talking about Kazuya Mishima. He walks into a room, and if he doesn't already own the room that we're all standing in, chances are he's about to, either through negotiation or through force. He's a businessman. He owns several of them. He owns a whole army. He is creating his own government/world order, if you want to get technical. But he's got a lot going for him. He's highly ambitious. Like the guy, again, if you're creating a world order, you gotta have some ambition and determination. He's worldly. You can probably sit down over a nice glass of wine and talk about the state of a country or the state of the planet. There's a good chance that he knows everything about it because he's caused at least half of what's currently going on in the world or the planet. He probably knows what wine is best to pair with what meat. Are you eating steak, fish, or chicken? Type of guy who relaxes before bed with a book and a glass of whiskey. Just a real classy dude. And fits? Always on 10. To the point where you are checking yourself to make sure you look good to be able to measure up to him. That's the type of dude Kazuya is. So yes, I take him home to parents. They probably have a nice long conversation. They're worldly people too. They can talk about things going on. Kazuya knows how to spin rhetoric so that it sounds like he's doing what's right for everyone. Or you might catch him on that day where he legit just doesn't care and he's gonna tell you everything that he's doing and you just have to deal with it. That would be the one downside, is he might leave my parents in a state of terror. Or you get Kazuya on a good day, who's the businessman. He's being like super diplomatic and stuff like that. But either way, he's going to leave an impact on the family. The thing that puts Kazuya in fourth place and not higher up is that he's a little bit evil, just a little bit. So if morals are in the way, and unfortunately, those pesky little morals, they keep nagging on me on the back of my head. They won't let me fully become evil. But that is also what would stop me from wanting to be with him full time. He's someone who might blow up half of New York. Again, he's trying to take over the world. The other thing to be aware of is he does have a kid. They have a really terrible family relationship, so you probably don't have to worry about having to take care of his child. Chances are he, if anything, is asking you if you're okay helping him murder his child, but you also might not be okay with. So something to really consider if you'd be okay helping with, or at least being aware that that is what he is willing to do. If either one of those rub you the wrong way, I would suggest getting out of this relationship. So all in all, again, probably could go home to the parents. Don't know if I could see us lasting full time because the guilt would eventually wear away at my spirit. But, you know, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Let's move on.
Get ready for the next battle.
Number three on my list is Raven. And it is not just because he's black, even though that was one of them. He's also got one of the most unique black character designs I've seen in fighting games, where he's not just like dude who was a boxer or something along those lines. Like, he's a ninja secret agent. He's the cool, mysterious guy. He's the one that you match with, and it's kind of cool at first, but the longer the relationship goes on, the more annoyed you are that he doesn't engage in conversation as often as you would like, which is why he's a solid number 3. He's better than Kazuya in that he's not evil and trying to destroy the world. As a matter of fact, he's actively trying to save the world from him. But in this case, he is someone who is more of a listener, I would say. He's got a good job. He works for the government. The other side of that is he's a bit of a op. So if you're someone who doesn't take to, I guess, basically dating the international police, or I guess international cleanup, because it's more of an assassin than a policeman, this might be a great line for you. But he's someone that you know is always going to have stable work as long as he's getting his nefarious job done. He's someone who's going to listen to you when you've got concerns, when you're worried about something. He might not offer anything back because, again, he's not much of a talker. The thing with Raven is we also don't know much about him. He's someone who lives a life of mystery, so there's really not much on paper about him. I don't know where he grew up, how he lived. Probably won't ever learn anything about his family at all, and I'm a big family person, so not even knowing the family, like at least with the others, they have a toxic family, but I know they have a family. Raven, dude got popped up out of a cabbage patch, and I would not know for as much as we know about him. The thing is, he could probably make it through a dinner with the parents. Because he's so good at intel, he just pick up on every single little thing they like to hear. You know exactly what to say and what not to say, how to please both of them, but it wouldn't feel authentic. We know we're getting a written out script about what he knows would benefit my parents. So while, yes, he could probably get through the dinner, I'd feel kind of gross about the entire thing. Not only would I know that the person that he is so over at my house is like not the real him, but I don't even know the real him. I can't even gauge that difference of like, oh, you're putting on business Raven, or like you want to impress the parents Raven versus this is who you are at home. I feel like everything I get would be a facade based on how he thinks I would want to interact with him and how like other people in the world want to interact with him. So while he's super cool, I don't think it would be a relationship that will last for a long time. So that's why Raven lives in 3.
Get ready for the next battle.
Now on to number 4. And to be honest, number 4 should probably be number 1, but I'm biased. So, number 4, Lee Xiaolan. So, Lee is a romantic. He's someone who probably shows up at the first date with a bundle of roses. He's probably asked ahead of time what you like to eat, or in some type of way asked about your hobbies and has planned a date around these hobbies. He's a true romantic. He can be a little snarky, but if he likes you, he's very, very sweet, very put together. He's always going out of his way to make sure you're having a good time. He carries himself with a sense of elegance, even though, he can be a little clumsy and weird at weird times, but you could tell that he's trying to put his best foot forward with you. You'll go over to his house and it's gaudy. It's gaudy as all get out. This man has no problem showing you that he is rich. He is also a businessman. He got his own business off the ground. Even though he's like technically a Mishima, he didn't get the same privileges as some might. So a lot of the work that he's done has been for himself. He's also got a little bit of a human side. Like he deals a little bit with those insecurities of being, a part of Hiachi's family and things like that. And so you feel like he isn't this impenetrable wall in the same way that some of the other guys are. And he's got a good sense of humor. Again, even though those insecurities can sometimes pop out, for the most part, he's pretty confident in himself. And he's willing to kind of like take things in stride. The gaudiness and the over-flaunting of wealth, I'm not someone who's a big fan of that. I like to, even if you've got a decent amount of money, I don't like my house to be like decked out in gold and rhinestones and stuff like that. Like I prefer for it to be a normal house. The space that we have is the space that we need. I don't need the biggest house in a city just because we can afford it. And Lee definitely seems to run along that. Like he wants to show that he's wealthy. He wants to show that he's got it. He wants his private jets. He wants all of that. And that feels like where we would butt heads. So while again, he'd make it to the family dinner because he's very polite, very romantic. He'd probably bring a bottle of wine for my parents. He'd probably help set the table with my mom, things like that. Ultimately, I think our lifestyles are very different, and that would be what breaks us apart.
Get ready for the next battle.
I won't be taking comments on this. My last one is Hiachi. And let me just, I'm just going to jump into it because I feel like otherwise it's hard to justify this. So Hiachi falls into kind of the same line as Kazuya. He's kind of evil. But the thing that differentiates Hiachi and makes him a better candidate is that he truly loved his wife, Kazumi. And I feel like if I was in a relationship with Hiachi, I would be truly loved. Like when Kazumi was sick, he spent all of the money for the best doctors to try to get her healed. So I have no doubt in my mind that Hiachi would love me above all else. He also is a strong proponent for strong women. Kazumi was a very strong woman. She was gentle and caring and loved her family and kids and all of that stuff, but she was also a powerful woman. He's not someone who's gonna be like, oh no, you in the kitchen barefoot. He's someone who is looking for someone who's going to stand beside him. He also is a businessman, right? Like Kazuya got that skill from someone. He kind of took that from his dad. His dad owns several companies as well, also owns an army that technically Kazuya kind of co-opted, but he owned an army. He built a lot of what he has from the ground up. He's also well-versed. Not only is he a man of destruction, he's a man of growth and teaching, runs a dojo, passes along the Mishima style. He's someone who wants his lineage to continue in whatever way that seems fit. And he seems, on the scale of evil, somehow less evil than Kazuya. So we're not going to debate that, okay? Just on a scale of evil, if we had to choose someone slightly evil, Hiachi might ultimately be the better route. He's also a survivor. We've seen the Tekken 8 DLC announcement trailer, and if you have not, spoiler y'all, spoiler, he comes back to life. Do you know how many times several people have tried to kill Hiachi and my man comes back to life? That is someone who has a strong desire to live. Maybe also a little bit of a strong desire for revenge and domination, but definitely a strong desire to live. One of the downsides to Hiachi is that he has a lot of children. He has adopted children and he has biological children. He has made in a lab children, just children all over the place. And spoiler again, he has his new daughter, Reina, who also has come into the mix. So if you already felt like, man, this dude has a lot of children, worry not, he's added one more to the roster. The nice thing is, similar to Kazuya, most of his kids are adults at this point, like well-established adults who have their own businesses, who are living their own lives, trying to murder him, whatever it might be. But you don't have to worry about momming any of these kids. With the exception of Reina. Reina does, at least for now, appear to be a high school student. So while still, I feel like I still fall more into auntie than mom in that range, she is someone who would need a little bit more raising than the rest of the family. But still probably relatively hands-off at this point. Also, she's got like the devil gene thing going on. Also, spoiler again, sorry. So I feel like you'll probably be kind of hands-off in that situation. The other bad thing is he does have a knack for throwing his children off of cliffs. He threw Kazuya off a cliff and just otherwise abandoning them. Lee kind of abandoned. Lars, he pretty much abandoned. We'll see what happened to Reina. I feel like Reina must have been the most loved because she acts just like him. So I do feel like maybe there's a different dynamic between him and her, but we'll see as the story progresses. But either way, we can rest assured that this terribly toxic family is not going to ask you to mother any of their children because none of them father their children. So it's fine. All I'm saying is Hiachi is definitely going to wow and impress the family as long as we don't get too much into conversation about his family. We'll be okay. The downside, of course, is that he's so much older than I am. If I come home with what is he, like 80 at this point, year old man, my parents will have questions. Hi, this is my boyfriend. He's several decades older than you. It'll be an interesting conversation. But once we get past that, and I think once they realize that he probably is going to live forever, that will no longer be a big concern. And he can clearly still have kids because he has a high schooler. And that's why Hiachi is one. I don't know if anything I said justified him being at the top spot, but that's why he's there. Let me know who your top Tekken folks that you would introduce to the parents would be, and why my list is the best list, or why you might have other suggestions if you really want to. That's fine. Also, let me know what type of list you'd like me to do next. I love doing these. They're just kind of fun. So if there's another game you have in mind, let me know. I'll also dabble in anime, but I love doing it for games. But other than that, follow us, hit our Discord. We're also doing fun stuff on there, and just stay in touch for the next one.